So now we kind of all know why we're here, right? We are so delighted to have with us someone that's inspired so many of us on the level of music, on the level of production, on the level of fun. So I'm just delighted to introduce 4-time Grammy winner, 4 gold records, 6 platinum records, 12 million albums, over 1,000 live performances. He's a musical icon by doing stand-ups of other musical icons. The not to be often imitated but never duplicated, Weird Al Yankovic. It's all about stage management.
That's not my name.
Here you are at the NAMM Show. Isn't it great?
It is.
Weird Al at the
Hey,
NAMM
guys.
Show. Yeah. All right, so this is a conversation that we've been lucky to have with some of your pals and other artists, and it gives us a chance to, there's creative people in the room, there's teachers, to understand a little bit more about what goes on in your head. Is that possible?
That stuff is a dark place. I don't know.
But it gives us a chance to, I think, for younger people to understand, that there is kind of a process here, right? Maybe
there is somewhat. It's always kind of hard to describe the creative process. I just listen to the voices in my head and hope they don't lead me astray.
All right, so let's a little bit about your personal story. I have to say that the word is that there was a traveling salesman that came to the house with an accordion?
Yeah,
is that kind of right?
I guess it's traveling sales. I guess you could say that.
They are in our industry. We know
yeah, this was in the mid-'60s, back when people would actually go door to door, as crazy as that seems now. But somebody came to my house and asked my parents if their young child would like to take music lessons. And my parents said, well, absolutely, young Alfred would love to learn an instrument. And the choices were guitar and accordion.
So you had a choice.
They had a choice, and my parents, being the visionaries that they were,
you had a choice.
Chose the accordion.
So you didn't interrupt that.
They wanted me to be really popular in high school, apparently.
I guess I always wondered, what if that had been like a Hammond organ salesman?
It would have, those would be tough to tote around from door to door.
Right, but that would have fit, though. That fit the mold. So you just said yes. Accordion, yes. Right?
I think my parents, I can't imagine I was begging my parents for accordion lessons, but they made that decision on my behalf. And I have to say, in retrospect, it worked out because, the accordion made me stand out. If I learned the guitar, I'd be one of 10 million people playing the guitar and trying to get noticed. But I think when I started submitting tapes to the Dr. Demento radio show.
Yeah, we know what that meant. We know what that meant. Yeah. That's major.
He told me that the fact that I played the accordion was a big reason why he gave me the early exposure, because my stuff wasn't that creative or clever, but the fact that there was this teenage kid playing the accordion and somehow thinking he was cool, that really was novel to him.
So note to self, don't be afraid to stand out.
Absolutely.
Right? We're taking notes, right? Don't be afraid. I mean, that's very interesting. So in other words, but did you take to it right away? You were happy doing it? Or, you never you didn't say, I hate the recording.
No.
It was really worked.
No,
right?
I enjoy playing, and it's sort of a hard instrument to learn, I guess. I mean, I grew up with it, so it seemed more natural to me, but my daughter, who's now 12, decided recently that she wanted to take accordion lessons, so I'm teaching her how to play the accordion.
Isn't that affirming now?
Yeah,
right?
but it is kind of a tough instrument because you're playing buttons on one hand and piano keys on the other, and you're doing the bellows, so it's like, patting your head and rubbing your belly. It's a lot to keep in mind.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's easy. I don't think you took it because it was easy.
No.
Right? So what about first teachers?
Well, see, I started, my first lesson was the day before my 7th birthday. I started with Mrs. Fesenmeyer. Mrs. Fesenmeyer out there? No?
Fesenmeyer, bless her heart.
And then moved on to Lee Terry, who was the head of the accordion conservatory.
There was an accordion conservatory?
I don't know what you call it. It was an accordion school. It was in Southgate, California.
Okay.
It may or may not
We
still
need
be
more
there.
of those, I think, in life. We do.
But I took lessons for 3 years and learned, all the basic skills. And after that, I decided I wanted to just kind of set it aside for a while and then learn on my own, because when you take accordion lessons, they're not teaching you Stairway to Heaven. They're not like doing. They're not doing the rock standards.
I bet they are now, though, don't
They
you
might
think?
be now.
Yeah, I think you've changed that.
But at the time, it was all polka music and classical music, and nothing wrong with either of those. But
Right.
I was a teenager, and I wanted to learn how to rock with my accordion.
So you felt good, and he did. he did. Right. So you felt, these teachers were very good to you, kind to you, easy.
Absolutely.
It was just, I mean, you've heard a lot about teachers up here,
Yeah.
So they,
I'm here to reinforce your message.
I know. That's why you're on message, right? I mean, the whole idea of, we come into music usually at a very tender age, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and we don't know what's going to happen. No one really knew what.
When you're a young accordion student, you're very vulnerable.
Right,
vulnerable.
right,
So
right.
it's nice to have some patient,
Right,
caring
right,
teachers
right.
to lead you down the path.
Right. So, and you did.
Yes.
That's good. And now you are to your daughter.
Yeah, doing
Right?
my best.
Right?
Yeah.
So you understand that we paid forward.
Yeah, I Instagrammed a picture last year of my daughter playing and practicing in front of a wall of gold records, and the caption is, "No pressure."
No. No pressure. Well, we heard a big shout out for Dr. Demento and your other early inspirations. There was an era around this Mad Magazine thing. We're sort of the same vintage within a few years. And my brother, who was just a little bit older than me, he was nuts for this Mad Magazine thing. There was an era, right?
Yeah.
There was just an era where, I think we found a level of just sort of really the right kind of intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Is that what happened for you?
Yeah. Playing the accordion at an early age warped me. And Mad Magazine finished the job. So, yeah, I got really obsessed with Mad around age 12. There's something that happens at age 12. I don't know what it is, but your brain chemistry. It must be hormonal, because I remember that was when I was super into Mad Magazine. When I first came on the scene in the 80s, it seemed like 80% of my fan mail is from 12-year-old boys. There's something about that particular age that something was going on in your head. But that was when I was obsessed with Mad. I would, beg my parents to drive me around to used magazine stores and go through the stacks and back issues. And this is before the internet, obviously. So if you wanted to see an old issue, you had to actually find it in the stacks.
Right.
It was pretty much all you thought about for a couple of years.
So and then Dr. Demento was sort of in that
was the same
period,
time frame,
in the same
yeah.
time
So
period.
12, 13 years old. So it was sort of a perfect storm.
A perfect storm of Mad Magazine.
I was sort of an
Dr. Demento.
outlier in that sense, because the timing just worked out perfectly and coincided with my adolescence and the fact that I was, trying to do something different.
And then it was Alan Sherman who did the recordings?
Yeah, he was.
Right?
He was a hero.
Yeah, he's a hero of yours, but he did the records, right? The comedy records?
in the early
Right.
60s.
Right.
Yeah.
And my brother was playing those too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you my brother? No.
I don't think so.
No, right.
But yeah, Alan Sherman, Stan Freberg,
right.
Tom Lehrer, Spike Jones, all those people that I was supposed to, yeah.
So they were just kind of fueling, right?
Absolutely,
They were like layering and layering.
Yeah,
and layering.
I heard them on the Demento show, and they kind of struck a responsive chord with me, and I thought, maybe I can do something similar.
Yeah. So when did it all then you went to Cal Poly, right?
Uh-huh.
And you know that my...
Woo!
Cal
Mustangs!
Poly, yeah. And you know that my sister-in-law was your next-door roommate? Sarah
She
Lynn?
was.
You probably don't remember her.
Where was this?
At Cal Poly.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
what dorm.
All right.
But she told me to say hi. But
Okay, well, hi to her.
You were never there. You were never there. You were always going to the radio station.
Okay.
So does that fit?
It could be.
Right? That's what she told me.
How's she been?
She's great. Yeah, she's
Good.
married. She's an engineer. She did good things in her life too.
Good.
Didn't play the accordion soon enough, but it's all right. So what happened then? You went to college. You kept going to the radio station.
Went to college, yeah. I
right?
started my sophomore year doing a shift on the radio station. I was always interested in radio. And I was on the air 3 hours every Saturday night. And everybody on the air had some kind of wacky nickname. Like, I'm the sheriff, I'm the captain, I'm Macho Mike. And I thought, Weird Al? Okay, that seems appropriate because I played weird music, sort of like I was sort of like the surrogate Dr. Demento for San Luis Obispo, California, because we couldn't pick up his radio show there. Yeah. So I played selections from my own meager collection of novelty music, and the name Weird Al, oddly enough, just kind of stuck.
So this was AM radio? FM radio?
FM radio. 91.3 KCPR. The San Luis Sound.
This wasn't college radio, though, was it?
It was, yeah, college radio.
It was college radio?
It was a 2,000-watt college radio station.
Okay, so how many people were listening, do you think?
Dozens. Dozens of people. Yeah. Yeah.
And you said you played original stuff? You played some original?
No, I was a disc jockey, so I played stuff that was already, actually on vinyl.
Right. And you dropped the needles and you were spinning and you're...
Sometimes I played the wrong speed, or sometimes I'd turn it with my finger just to be different.
Right. So where was Dr. Demento? So where was Dr. Demento in this period then? Were you hanging out with him because he had his own show?
During college? Well, he was still in Los Angeles doing his local show on KMET. He might have started to be syndicated at that time with Westwood One, which is when he was on all over the country. But we kept up a correspondence, and it was my senior year. I think I was going into my senior year in college when I recorded My Bologna in the bathroom. You like that? That was recorded in the bathroom across the hall from my campus radio station. I was 19 years old at the time, and it was just something I did for grins. I was doing the summer shift at the college, and my Sharona by the Knack was a huge hit that year, and I had the brilliant idea of making the song about lunch meat, and it was just literally, they ran lines from the production room across the hall into, they called it Studio 229. It was the bathroom. For some reason, it had the number 229 above the door, so we called it Studio 229.
Naturally,
the acoustically perfect tiled walls give it that nice reverb effect. And I just recorded it next to the urinal, and that was my first single.
So when I ask you about inspirations, I guess.
Yes, that was it. That bathroom wall of sound.
The wall of sound, the tiled wall of sound, right? So what did you record on then? What was did you spliced it back?
That was just a two-track, quarter-inch tape.
Yeah, way back in the day.
Reel to reel.
Way back in the day, right?
Not even any overdubbing at that point.
So did you play it then? Did you recorded it?
I recorded it, sent it to Dr. Demento, and and I just kind of forgot about it. And then a few weeks later, I get a postcard from him saying, "Your song has been on the Funny Five for the last 2 weeks in a row." And I thought, my life is never going to get any better than this. I thought that was just it.
That was just it. Wow. But he was kind of your first mentor, right?
Oh, he was my D-mentor,
he was
actually.
D-mentor.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Happen, right?
No, my life would have taken a completely different trajectory had I not ever, been associated with Dr. Demento. I mean, I went to college and I got my degree in architecture.
Did you actually get the degree?
I got the degree, yeah. I used it as a drink coaster, bookmark. It comes in handy. Right. But ostensibly, I was going to be an adult at this point in my life and have a real job and do something, productive.
God forbid.
But as it turns out, I've been able to prolong my adolescence thanks to the graces of Dr. Demento.
So is he still with us?
He is still with us. He is not on terrestrial radio anymore, but he is still doing his show, and it's available, I think it's a subscription service, drdemento.com.
Okay, let's remember that, right? So was it, you recorded this first song in the bathroom, you were on the radio, you were hanging out with your first mentor. How is it that irony just became the medium? I mean, that, satire and parody, that just was the medium that was right to you.
Yeah, that's just the way that my brain worked. I didn't have a whole lot of.
So in other words, let's just take that at face value.
Yeah, that's the way I was always wired. I mean, part of me knew that if I was serious about playing the accordion, I'd be doing the bar mitzvah and Italian wedding circuit for quite some time. But that wasn't even an option because I tried. Oh my goodness, when I was in my early teens, I tried to write straight, sincere songs.
You did. All right. I wanted to make sure I could get that out of you.
I heard so embarrassing.
So what were they about?
Oh no!
No, can't go there.
I would rather have like sex tapes of myself on the internet than like these early. They're so embarrassing.
Really?
So no.
But they're about girlfriends and breakups.
I don't even want to think about them.
So you did try that. You did try that.
I tried,
It just-
and it's like, and I found that you know, and that was because I realized that wasn't me being true to myself, because the real me was a lot more twisted than that. So as long as I allowed myself the option of going in my own direction, it seemed to work out.
And it worked out.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's worked out? Pretty damn good. Yeah. Well, I had so much fun reading. I'm a fan, like we're all fans, right? I had so much fun reading and hearing the history. There's like some things, in the creative business or the music business or life in music. I often say life in music. Sounds so serious, right? But you've had some wonderful collaborators, right?
Oh, sure.
I mean, rich early relationships that you still have, right? Tell us about the role of your bandmates and those collaborators.
Well, I was going to say Michael Jackson wrote the song "Eat It With Me." He did the music. There exists a legal contract with Michael Jackson's signature next to mine, saying we are the co-writers of "Eat It." So that's a fun
that
little
was a
doc.
collaborator.
But yeah, I mean, my band, absolutely. I've been with the same guys since the early '80s. I met my drummer. I remember this September 14th, 1980. And I remember that because that was the night that we recorded Another One Rides the Bus live on the Dr. NAMM Show. I met John Bermuda Schwartz that night. He was invited to the show.
Bermuda Schwartz.
And I'd written the song that weekend. And Dr. NAMM said, would you like to premiere your new song tonight during the top 10? I said, absolutely. And John said, I'm a drummer. And I said, well, you can bang on my accordion case. So he did that, and everybody else in the studio made noise. And I was in college at the time, so I did the show, went back to San Luis Obispo. And a few weeks later, I'm getting phone messages from my roommate saying, they're playing your song in New Zealand. They're playing your song like everywhere around the world. It got bootlegged off the Dr. NAMM Show, the live recording, and it became this like viral hit back way before things were going viral. And it eventually got released on TK Records, which a company that went bankrupt 2 weeks after the record came out. But it really got me thinking, like, maybe there's something here. And John Bermuda Schwartz was saying, like, we should put a band together. We should do this for real. And so we auditioned. We got Jim West on guitar and Steve J on bass shortly after that. And it's been those guys since then.
But that's very yeah, I mean, that deserves a cheer, because to have loyal professional collaborators.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of rare.
It really is. I mean,
what's the glue? I mean, what's the?
It's hard to say. I got very lucky. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a lot of it's personality driven, because none of us are divas. We're all pretty grounded. Everybody in the band is a nice guy. I mean, I did a behind the music a number of years ago, and they were like looking for the dirt and like the drama. Like, no, we like each other.
Right,
Everything's good.
But we can't just stop there. That's it. That's wonderful. I mean, let's say that's okay. That's more than wonderful. You don't have to have the drama. I mean, but I think to have friends, and to have professional friends and people that are honest with you, and you can build the work together, that's just must have been great.
No, absolutely. It's like, when we're on the road, it's like a family. And we actually have, our real families when we get off the road. So, but it's a whole different kind of reality when you get together, because it's like it's like a dorm room on wheels. It's nice.
But that's kind of, we talk about other things, maybe takeaway, note to self. It's like, who you pick to be your friends is really important, right?
It is.
And who you pick to be your collaborators, and who you share your talents with, and your desires, and all these things. And I know we all go through life and we get lucky, and sometimes we got to make choices too sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
These are relationships. So, you have to ask yourself, like, if you're going to be partnered up with somebody like that, if you're going to be okay with that for the next 20, 30 years, because that might happen.
So you're going back on the road soon, right?
Yeah, I think June, we're going to be doing about 14 more weeks of the mandatory
these guys,
World Tour.
right?
With these guys, yeah.
With these guys, and everybody just kind of packs up the kit and off we go.
And off we go.
All right, that's great. So, I introduced you by, you are a musical icon that has made a career doing send-ups of other musical icons. Right? I mean, you've kind of ridden a remarkable wave of Michael Jackson, Kurt Cobain, Eminem, Lady Gaga. I could list many, many others. But your parodies seem to expand the success of those artists.
And Michael Jackson was struggling before I came along, I gotta tell you. It was really...
Fair enough.
It was touch and go for a while there. I don't know.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah,
right? I was going to say...
He was able to afford the other glove after I came around. So,
it's like, please do a parody of me. Please do a parody of me, right? I mean, isn't that kind of...
Every now and then I actually get, celebrities coming up to me at award shows and saying, hey, when are you going to get around to doing one of mine? Like, take a number. Yeah,
okay. All right. So, I think what I'm asking here, and you'll tell me what I'm asking ultimately, but what I'm asking here is that you've got really remarkable timing about it, right? You're scanning, right? I mean, you're observing, right? You're calculating. No, you know what I mean? But you're as in terms of your own creative. Where you're going to hit, right? Where are you going to...
Yeah, being topical is a big part of it because, for parody, you just, you don't want to come too early and you don't want to come too late, so you have to find the sweet spot. And in the past, my whole career basically, it's been difficult because I do comedy albums and I'm releasing 12 tracks at once. And to release that many songs, you're hoping that some of them will be topical, and you're hoping that nothing feels like it's already dated by the time it comes out. But it was always a bit of a puzzle to be able to coordinate everything and get everything so it would be ready to release and feel somewhat fresh.
But it has.
So far, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. This kind of, comedy is all about timing, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm not a stand-up comic. And that's why you're so good at it. The whole idea of, but be able to time all this with those major celebrities. Again, I'm at your process. You're scanning and you're kind of studying a little bit, right?
Yeah, I study the Billboard charts. These days I'm constantly on the internet, and I'm trying to keep my finger on the pulse of pop culture, and that's a big part of the job description.
Yeah, who knew, right? That you have to study pop culture.
Yeah.
So, your career, your first recording was on 2-track in a wire that ran from the radio station into the bathroom.
Right.
So you've expanded a lot during the change of technologies. Is that just a natural thing for you too, to be attracted by technology, not to be intimidated by it, to want to drive your material to using it?
Yeah, I'm fascinated by technology, and I'm interested in it from a fan standpoint, but also from a business standpoint, it's important to do what makes sense. I've gotten out of the analog age and I'm into the digital age, which I'm very happy to make that transition because doing vocals analog is something I hope to never do again. Just punching in and then erasing the whole next line, and there's no undo button in analog. So, I know there's some purists. I'm sorry, but
this is working for you much better.
It's working at least for vocals, digital's for me is the way to go. But there, a lot of stuff I'm still, a lot of stuff is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I still use Digital Performer at home for my demos, and I'm using a version that's several iterations old, but it works okay for me. Now, on the other hand, for marketing and for publicity and things like that, you kind of need to be more on the bleeding edge. You can't hold on to old business models, things that aren't working anymore. When I did this last album, I didn't think oh, I hope MTV plays the single, because that hasn't been a factor for several decades now. Well, it's true. Even radio, which, I don't want to discount them at all because they've been very supportive, but that's not really where my bread is buttered anymore, which is why on this last album I kind of I was all in on the internet. I said, well, this is where the fans are. This is where they come to, see and listen to music. And if this album is going to be successful, I need to make a big impact online. So I came up with a whole 8 video premieres in 8 days strategy in July of 2014. Thank you, and it worked very well.
Yeah, great. So in other words, you have to push yourself in that regard. You got to push to where the audience is.
Just make sure that you're not, tied into old business models and old, the way things used to work. You have to be open to whatever's working right now. And every album that came out, I was like, what's the best way to get this out there? Because distribution, more than anything else, I think, in the industry, is the most rapidly changing thing. So you have to always be wary of, what's going to be the most efficient way to market yourself.
Speaking of which, let's not forget that MTV moment, right? I mean, the fact that MTV came up kind of, and you helped MTV come up. You had, all the things that were happening
Symbiotic
there.
relationship.
It really was. What was that like in that time period? Kind of inventing
that was fun. It was
medium.
in the beginning days. It was just like guerrilla TV. I mean, it felt very local. It was like such a UHF station or a local TV station because it was bad. I mean, it was amateurish, and that was the charm of it. You'd see the VJ stumbling over their words, or they think that the camera was off and it wasn't, like, okay, that was good, let's go on to something, and that would all go over the air. Right. And little by little it became more corporate, but that was where they first let me do things like Al TV. They said, okay, you've got 4 hours, do anything you want.
Right.
Which is unheard of. 4 hours,
right.
And that would be unheard of these days. So I miss those days of freedom and the guerrilla attitude that it used to be.
So, we haven't touched on the fact that have there been disappointments along the way? Have there been setbacks? Or has this just been, I mean, you had great,
Well, of course. I mean, it's overall, it's been a wonderful life and a wonderful career. But, there, like with anything, there are hills and valleys. And you have to, I learned the lesson, you can't get too full of yourself when you're on a hill, and you can't get too depressed when you're in a valley. I like to use the Neil deGrasse Tyson an analogy that you have to be the climate, not the weather. You have to stay pretty much even keel and not be too concerned with all the ups and downs.
We interact with so many young people who are singer-songwriters. They're forming bands, they're writing music, and I think we want them to go forward with all their ambitions, but they need the context of their work, right?
Yeah.
Keep their friends close, keep your families close,
absolutely,
right? Yeah. And understand what the world is around you, because then you know how you're going to fit, right? So you can, it's part of it. So wasn't that philosophical about me for a minute, right? You won't quote me, though, I know that. All right, so who are you listening to now?
Right now, I've been listening to David Bowie for the last couple of weeks, just going through the whole catalog.
Yay, David Bowie. Musical icon.
And prior to that, everybody in our household has been listening to the Hamilton soundtrack nonstop.
Yeah. Great. Who do you follow?
Who do I follow?
Yeah, who do you follow?
I'm not a stalker. What do you mean?
No, Twitter.
Oh.
Who do you follow?
I'd say, 90% of the people I follow are comedians, like friends and peers and heroes, and it's just more amusing for me to follow those kind of people. So, Patton Oswalt and Tom Lennon and Scott Ackerman, I could go, it's all there.
I just want to let them in a little bit about, if they want to.
And a few musicians and a few trendsetters and follow Elon Musk. I'm one of the few people that Elon Musk follows, so I'm very flattered by that.
Yeah, that's great. Not surprised. What do you wish to be known for?
My good flossing habits. I don't really floss regularly, but I'd like to be known for that.
Known for that, okay.
Yeah.
All right. What else, Al?
I don't know, just it's hard to say. I mean, I'm not the one to determine my own legacy. I don't know.
This is a really remarkable, wonderful, lovely person. You will be known for that.
Oh, thank you.
I must say, you must know that. You must feel that too. Really, really sweet. I think you'll be known for that, and I think why your collaborators are probably saying the same wonderful things about you. I think when you have a life in music, a life in art, in creativity, the fact that you can be true to yourself in your work and in your life is really great. So I just had to say that. What's next for you?
We talked about the tour. That's going to be this summer. It's going to be a big TV year for me, and I wish I could be more specific. But I'm going to be involved in several TV projects, one of which is going to be announced Monday morning, but I'm sorry I can't say quite what it is yet. I will be on the season and perhaps series finale of Gallivant a week from Sunday. That's kind of all I'm allowed to say, but I'll be doing stuff this year.
Check your Twitter feed, right?
Yes.
News will be coming.
WeirdAl.com.
WeirdAl.com. And, I've told you who's in our audience. Do you have any final thoughts for our creators, our young musicians? Or?
Well, I'll leave you a thought that my dad shared with me many years ago, which always resonated with me. And it's just that the only true sign of success is being able to do that which makes you happy for a living. So if you're able to make a living doing something that you're passionate about, you're already successful.
Weird Al Yankovic. Thank you so much. Wasn't that fun to learn about, the process and the insights of someone that we all have so much fun with? It's great.